I think the most important skill set you could possibly have to be successful in a corporate job or any job actually in particular is storytelling and presenting. I think it is the most underrated part of anybody's job is the ability to present data and storytell to a point where you can explain something complicated in a simple manner to your customers or your audience. I think storytelling and presenting scares a lot of people. I think public speaking scares the hell out of a lot of people. One, because they're unprepared, and two, because they haven't done it for 10,000 hours. That's the Freakonomics goal, right? 10,000 hours to perfect any skill set. And if you haven't done it for 10,000 hours, you're probably not comfortable doing it. I don't know how many hours I've publicly spoken, but I bet it's over 10,000. And so much so that I think I'm pretty good at it now. But I didn't grow up being a storyteller or presenter. That's not a skill set you possess when you're born. You have to work at it and you have to work your ass off at it. I didn't grow up thinking one day I'm going to be an amazing storyteller or presenter. I can't wait to publicly speak at all of my job functions. That was not my goal growing up. My goal growing up, I think, was to be a hockey player or a football player. Unfortunately, I was horrible at either one of those. One, I don't even know how to ice skate, so that makes a pretty bad hockey player. Two, I figured out real quick in college that at 6 foot, 185 pounds, and slow, I was not going to be a football player for very long, and I was absolutely right. But how did I get into storytelling and presenting? Why do I think that is so important in today's world? It's because one, I do it all the time, but two, I grew up on a farm and cattle ranch in the southeastern corner of Colorado. I didn't have a TV growing up. I literally had to entertain myself at all times. I didn't live in a neighborhood. I lived on a farm in the middle of nowhere with no one around me. So most of the summers I spent on a tractor, John Deere 8640. That was the tractor I spent most every 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. of every single day sitting on my ass on a tractor, trying to not be bored out of my mind. I did have an AM radio. I had two choices. I had Western and I had country music. So either one of those, I was not a fan back in the day. Today I am, but back then I wasn't a fan of country or Western music. And so I literally had 12 hours to kill every single day. And how did I do that? I told stories in my head. I literally made up stories in my head all the time. I would create characters, I would create scenarios, I would create attitudes and personalities. I had to entertain myself with great storytelling, albeit in my head. And before I ever stepped in front of my first crowd for publicly speaking or in front of a customer to present some data, I was already telling stories in my head about anything that I invented. And then when I went to college with a lot of inner city and city people that didn't grow up on a farm. And so I did, and I knew I had the ability to entertain people by storytelling what happened growing up. And all these people couldn't believe the things that I did as a kid. And as I refined these stories growing up in college, I got to be better at storytelling and better at presenting. I got to have a bigger audience. I got more laughs. I got more people entertained by what I was saying to them. So I refined my storytelling even in college and grad school with just being able to entertain people. But then I got to my first IT job and talking to customers was not part of my job. I was pulling cables and setting up computers and printers. And it really wasn't part of how I refined my storytelling and presenting. When I first started doing that, I think my first job at Microsoft was a support escalation engineer. And basically, I was really nerdy and I was really we're reading Wireshark traces and Netmon traces and SIP traces. What I had to do was explain to customers how I fix something in a super easy way. They weren't escalation engineers. If they could fix it, they would have fixed it themselves. They're calling support at Microsoft, the upper echelon of support, super nerdy guys trying to fix something that is super complicated and super hard. Now, as escalation engineers, we have to relay how we fix something, one, why it broke in the first place, and two, how to prevent it breaking in the future. Now I have to present these super complicated ideas and theories about what I did to fix it to a customer that's not very technical, probably. And I refine my storytelling and the ability to present then as well. And then as I got promoted through the ranks, I was a deployment engineer. I worked at a place called MCS or Microsoft Consulting Services. And my job was to design things and then deploy them. But the point is, they're paying a lot of money to Microsoft to have architects come in and architect these solutions. But again, these super complicated solutions, you have to relay to business people that aren't technical of why you're making these decisions. And these designs are super hard to relay because they're super complicated. But I had to find a way to present better or to storytell why this particular design that I came up with would be able to work for them. So I had to relay this complicated story to a customer. And then I even got better at storytelling and presenting. And then my real goal was to go into pre-sales. I was a pre-sales engineer for a few years at Microsoft. And I was even refining my storytelling and presenting even more because now I'm helping a salesperson relay technical solutions to a customer and trying to, again, relay that complicated solution in a more simple and resonating way to that customer to see how what we're trying to sell them is going to make their life better, more productive, more efficient. And I got better at storytelling and presenting even then. But I didn't come to really embrace the role of storytelling and presenting until one of my coworkers there at Microsoft, his name is Brent Witchell. He's probably not watching because Microsoft people probably aren't allowed to watch Zoom videos. But he was an amazing storyteller. So amazing that when I would be with him in front of a customer or actually on the stage at a couple of events that we did together, I would watch how the crowd would literally be enthralled with what he was saying. And again, it was a complicated thing. He was telling in a simple, entertaining way. And I'm like, that's it. I have to emulate Brent Witchell. And I started kind of copying what he did, but that didn't work for me because it worked for Brent. It didn't work for me. I was Patrick Kelly. I wasn't a Brent Witchell. But what I tried to do was incorporate all the things that he was doing and the messages he was saying and the way he was saying it into my way. There's only one Patrick Kelly, and that's probably a good thing. But I was trying to make my way his, and it didn't work. So once I embraced, hey, I have to find my path. I have to find my method of telling a story or presenting data and see what works for me. And again, that took a lot of trial and error. It took that 10,000 hours of practice over and over and over again. I didn't get it right all the time, still don't. But I'm really, really good at it because I refined everything I do in my head. I'll write it down. I'll think about it. I'll role play with myself. And I've done a lot of these customer meetings over the probably 20 something years. And I know how to talk to customers. I know how to present. I know how to story tell because I've done it so many times and probably screwed up so many times that I know what works for me now. This is not a podcast on how to be a better presenter or a better storyteller. It's more of a podcast on you need to understand how important that skill set is to being a better employee, and it transcends technology. This really will go to any sort of level of job that you will ever have in any corporate level of the modern world today. Is the better storytelling and the better presenting skills that you have, the better employee you're going to be. The reason being is that people will look to you for answers. And you might not have them. People will look to you as a trusted advisor because you have the ability to tell a story. You have the ability to tell stories and present data that's complex in a simple way that they understand and that resonates with them. There's plenty of books on how to be a better presenter or a better storyteller. But my overall point is that you need to embrace being a better storyteller and a better presenter in what you're doing today. It will make you a better employee. It will make you a better coworker. People will look to you as a trusted advisor. You will be able to showcase your talents better by being a better presenter. You will be able to showcase how you can help by being a better storyteller. And that only comes through practice. And that comes through refinement of what you're doing and the methods you're using to be a better storyteller. Presenting complex data to an audience in a simple way is probably the pinnacle of presentation skills to me. Now, combine good presentation skills, good storytelling, and a social media platform. Now you can be a powerful force with personal branding because now you're refining your storytelling skills, you're refining your presentation skills, you're showcasing your talents by being able to get your message to a broader audience. It's super cool to be able to help a customer when you're one-on-one meeting with maybe 4 or 5 people in the room. But it's really cool to help thousands of customers and employees, coworkers, friends, colleagues with a social media platform. Now you have to be a good storyteller and presenter and add technology to it. Now you can create the ability to relay messages in mass that scales greater than anything we've ever done before. Building a personal brand through storytelling and presenting can really help you escalate to the next level of your career as well. Now you can showcase all of the ways that you can help a customer with maybe your presentation and storytelling skills, but also your in-depth use and knowledge of the technology that you're trying to maybe sell or implement or deploy. Today, I look forward to storytelling. I look forward to presenting. I look forward to public speaking. It doesn't mean I don't get nervous sometimes. Typically with a customer, I probably don't get nervous. I've done that 1,000 times, probably 10,000, probably 100,000 times. That might be a slight exaggeration. But when I'm talking at large events with a large crowd, or I know that I'm on an online webinar with a bunch of people on it, I still get nervous. And you know what? That's okay, because I'm not nervous because I'm not prepared. I'm nervous because I want to win. I view public speaking as like a competition. How can I up my game better than I did before? How can I make this message resonate even better than I did before? It's also competitive on how you create that presentation to relay to your audience. I, for one, hate PowerPoint slides. I don't use them at all unless I can help it. I find them boring. I find them distracting. I typically never put even words in my PowerPoint slides or my Google slides. Why I do that is because I think when the more words you put into a PowerPoint slide or a Google slide, the less people are paying attention to you and the more they're reading the slide. They don't need to read the slide. That's what your job is to present that data. So a lot of times, here, I told you this wasn't a presentation or how to be a storyteller. I'm going to give you one hint. Use less slides than you're doing now. Use less words than you're doing now. Put more graphics on them and make them easier. Don't put over 3 or 4 on there. The reason they're attending the meeting or a webinar is to watch you tell them a story, to present data that is complex. They could obviously go read a white paper. That's not the point. The point is they want you to tell them how to do it, what it looks like, how it resonates, what the workflows look like. How are you going to make their life easier, more productive, more efficient with what you're teaching them? And that's not words on a slide. Your job is to tell a story. Do it in an entertaining way, but also do it in a simple way that's easy to understand. If it's hard to present something, you're probably doing it wrong. That's probably what it is. You need to be able to present in a simple way. I guess that's probably my 2 points there. I told you I wasn't going to really show you how to present or storytell, but those are 2 things that anybody can do is present something in an entertaining way and present something that's simple to understand. To this day, I still role play in my head of a new webinar that I might be doing or a new presentation that I might be doing. How can I make it better and better and better every time? And that's probably a bad thing at some points because now I'm probably overthinking things, but that's okay. That makes me comfortable. That makes me more prepared. So I guess the point of this simple single person podcast is embrace storytelling and presenting. I don't care what your job is, you will be better at it if you're better at storytelling and presenting. And find the way that works for you. And I mean that might be stepping out of your comfort zone sometimes. That might be doing things that you don't typically do in your everyday life. But if you can have a way to resonate with the customer, isn't that a better thing? Isn't that the whole goal of presenting? I present differently than anybody else, and that's okay. I might use bigger words or louder words, or you might use gestures or open my eyes and sometimes try to get the audience's attention. That's the way I do it. Find your path, find your way. You'll be better at it in the long run. Use that skill set to be a better employee, a coworker, a colleague. I don't know, the ramblings of an old man, I guess. I'm Patrick Kelly, the tattooed nerd. Have a great day.